Listen up, losers. This is the Fake Podcast by HIVE Analytics. This is episode 0. Let's get started, shall we?
Let's do it. So you may have stumbled upon our Fake Podcast, and today we're going to talk about who we are, what we do, and why we started a Fake Podcast. We like to have a little bit of fun, even though we're pretty serious about our data. So let's roll right into it. We're going to head over to James, and you're going to tell us about our origin story.
Yeah, we have a good origin story. So we went to Digital Dealer. So this, depending on when you're listening to this, it was 2023. Mm-hmm. It was our first event, and we had a great time there, getting to know a lot of very good people. But when we went there beforehand, we were very busy with Shomp work, very busy with HIVE Analytics. We wanted to plan really good stuff. However, time was limited. You know, we kind of decided to go to that event, probably not the ideal amount of time to prepare for it. So in our nervousness, we decided we were going to have a fake podcast in case no one showed up to our booth, because we didn't really have an opportunity to do a bunch of reach out and like set up appointments and stuff like that. But what we do have is a lot of very good industry friends from our experience at Shomp and all the years of experience that we have together. And if worse came to worse, we're going to invite a bunch of our friends over to have a conversation and just fake a podcast so we looked like we were interesting and cool.
Just to fill the booth.
Yeah, just to make it look like we know what we're doing.
Right.
So the good news is we got really busy at Digital Dealer. There was a lot of people that wanted to take a look at what we were up to. And so that's the good origin story. We still want to do a fake podcast after that, and we were trying to find ways for people to understand us better. Mm-hmm. We're in the automotive space too on the retail side. We get, bombarded with random phone calls, a bunch of spam emails. Mm-hmm. And there's some very legitimate companies that are reaching out and that good stuff, but we want to connect better with people. Like, we want people to know who we are, how we think, and do so in a way where it's actually interesting to consume. We're here doing a fake podcast. We're going to talk about our product a lot. We're going to talk about our philosophies a lot. We judge pretty hard too sometimes, so we want to make sure that people kind of know where we stand on certain things. Yep. And a lot of data truths as well, and a lot of fake data too, to kind of get us into topics that we find interesting and we think the automotive community will too.
Yeah. And fake advertisements and sponsors. What would a fake podcast be without fake advertisements?
I mean, hopefully, we are blowing up.
That's true.
Starting at 0 and accelerating as hard as we are, like, we're definitely the largest, highest growing, how do we say it?
Fastest
growing automotive podcast.
That's right, in the universe.
Yeah, for sure. So we, so here we go. Yeah, episode 0 is about orienting everybody. Like, we're going to say some weird stuff. You might catch us on a later episode and go, what in the world are these guys talking about? They have all these inside kind of jokes, if you will. So we're going to take a minute to just kind of unpack those and get to know us better.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we do that, though, I think it's really important, though, to talk about HIVE Analytics, like how it was actually born and not just why the fake podcast and where we come from. Yeah.
So HIVE Analytics was born to solve a problem at Shomp Automotive. So as we grew, we had 3 stores at the time. We started having kind of issues when it came to measuring things, getting on the same page between sales and marketing. The operational kind of arm of Shomp Automotive, as strong as we are and as good as processes we have, we didn't have a lot of data clarity on how we were going about measuring things. And as we grew, it became more and more important. So 3 stores grows to 13 at this current time. You needed a common methodology of how we're going to look at our marketing performance, how we're going to measure our impact, and then that kind of grew into some operational opportunities as well. So once you start digging into the data, you start uncovering all these great things that can help people outside the marketing context. And what we found is better ways to distribute leads, better ways to really kind of do staffing levels, and really create a very clear kind of communication cadence with our operators at the stores, so they knew every marketing meeting we were going to kind of lead with data, understand where our opportunities are coming from, are they going up or down, and how are we performing with them. And I think some of the most powerful things we're seeing is the power of benchmarking. So basically, the data is great in your CRM. There's some awesome reports in there, but it doesn't tell you the full story. And HIVE is there to tell you the full story, but also give you that orientation of, am I doing well, or do I have an opportunity to improve? And we can do that based on similar sources across all the rooftops. And that's a lot more impactful, elicits some competitive nature of us, and it gives a lot of clarity if people need to work on things or if they need to celebrate some success. So
Absolutely.
those are some of the kind of core things we found in our journey. And it wasn't meant to be a commercial product at the start. It was meant just for us to optimize how we were getting this information and synthesize it better for our stores. But as soon as we had some opportunity to show it to some of our more experienced automotive friends, with 40 over 40, 40 slightly over 40 candidates in there, they really latched onto the value of it, and we started making it more attractive. It used to be very vanilla looking. It was very tech oriented. And then when we started dressing it up and making it look cool, latest version is Tron, then people started paying closer attention to it. So I'm kind of embarrassed as a marketer, like I should know this stuff. But as soon as we started making it look pretty, put a cool B on it, people started paying attention to it a little bit closer, and here we are.
Yeah, and when you did that Tron change, you were a little bit apprehensive, and we happened to be walking through Las Vegas casinos.
I may or may not be the most conservative guy at this table, for sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure you are. But we were walking through Las Vegas, and we see all the slot machines in the same color scheme as our dashboards. And, there's a reason that people are attracted and drawn to those colors. But I think I want to add to that throughout the journey of the development of the product of HIVE Analytics, we've also created, and basically by force, but also because of the data that the product has given us, we've created specific methodologies that you should implement when you're looking at your data through this lens, that are somewhat different from what you might see in traditional CRM reports. The things of the all-in strategy, when you take all of your records and get them in this visualization, and then measuring the time frame from when those records are created rather than maybe from when they move from one stage to another. So there's a number of different methodologies that we deploy to really make this data make sense through these dashboards.
Yeah, and it's pretty rigid too. Like there's a lot of things that we firmly believe in. The all-in strategy is really important to us because it removes subjectivity. If everybody's evaluating every single record in the CRM, they're able to see the good, the bad, and the things they need to work on. So, but without that, you have this uncertainty, and we certainly felt that at Champ, whereas it was difficult to really get down to the bottom of even a simple question: how many leads are in the CRM?
Right.
You would have different answers to that based on people's perception of how they should measure it. So a good way to mitigate against that is actually count them all and then isolate the data that you're interested in. So that way you're even across all rooftops, and you're able to really analyze like sources and all that good stuff. So
right. And there's value to having the good, the bad, and the ugly in there as well, because with the bad and ugly of things that you may not typically want to count as one of the records that goes into your closing percentage or whatnot, you can actually uncover problems that may exist within your store, within staffing, within phones, within anything. When you start to see records hit the CRM that you would not like them to be there, or you can also determine that there's some sources that you might not want to have shared into your CRM or have go into a different flow. There's a whole bunch of value to measuring everything all in, good, bad, and ugly, and you can really adjust your operation to maximize people's time.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And every CRM instance has its nuances. They're not excuses. They're real kind of problems when it comes to what do we do with these opportunities that don't close well. I know, Kat, you've had experience like reconciling that with BMW, for instance, on the OEM leads. There's some good ones in there, but there's also some that you have to have a strategy. What do we do with these? We don't want to spend too much of our time equity on things that are not closing. And so there's a bunch of strategies that are kind of uncovered through that. And it gives visibility on where you do need to focus and where to use the CRM to its best ability to categorize things.
Sure.
Absolutely. And I think there's like some things that we were kind of alluding to in that as well, but one of the things that you just heard said repeatedly was the good, the bad, and the ugly, and we're kind of the masters of spinning a catchphrase. I think that's one of them. And when you just said full visibility, it's kind of one of those things that you can't hide from HIVE. Like we are going to see everything. And one of my other favorite catchphrases is all facts, no feelings. And this data really gives clarity. There's no subjectivity in it. You can really highlight what you want to see, what you don't want to see in terms of performance metrics for a single individual, a single lead source, or even in the pipe stages is something that we do really well.
Yeah, and the spotlight in HIVE can be pretty hot too. So it's something that we're very cautious with as well. We don't want this to be a punishment tool. So, Kat, what's another phrase that you that you missed there?
Oh gosh.
Too positive?
Oh yeah, 2 positive and 1 challenge.
Yeah, so anytime people see HIVE for the first time, sometimes naturally you're looking for problems, but we're always encouraging people, look for things to celebrate.
Find the good.
Yeah, how can you repeat the good things going on in your CRM?
Yeah. Not that we don't help them find the good or the bad and the ugly, but we also want to make sure we're really focusing on the good and giving them congratulations where they deserve it.
The product's no fun for us if everybody's like apprehensive to open it, doesn't want to look at bad things. Like that's the last thing we want. We want to improve through data. So
yeah, small little incremental successes, very important. Okay, 2 other ones, some fun things that we've come up with. You said it first thing in this episode, George.
Listen up, losers.
Yeah, tell us about that one.
Listen up, losers. It's tongue in cheek. We like to have a lot of fun, and a lot of the relationships we've made in automotive are centered around sense of humor and good laughs. But listen up, losers comes from a magazine cover actually that I was on. It's not a real magazine; it's a fake magazine. Appropriately like this podcast is, but I was on a magazine cover one time, and before that magazine cover was released, one of the people in our marketing team wanted to take a stab at what he thought that magazine cover should look like before they actually released it. So he used a photo that he chose of me and used the title as Listen Up Losers. I think he was alluding to the fact that maybe that's what I would call my team, even though I don't really do that. But yeah, it just kind of stuck, Listen Up Losers, and has become part of our logo for the podcast and for our swag.
Yeah, super fun. I mean, everybody loves the stickers, right?
Yeah, and everybody loves fake magazine covers too. We've done a number of those.
We're good at those.
We're very good at them. If I ever decide to pursue a different career, it will be the designer and headline writer of fake magazine covers.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you also mentioned some of the relationships that we've built, and one of our last kind of funny things that we'll talk about is we have a very endearing term for some of our friends. It's the Flat Bill Mafia, and we appreciate your support. I think you all know who we're talking to here, but talk to us a little bit about the relationships and how important that's been for HIVE Analytics, not only as we've kind of gone public with this, but the lessons that we've learned because of that input from the relationships that we've had.
Yeah, for sure. We kind of look up to them. We make fun of them because we admire them. So I think we learned the kind of value of connection with people and the persistence of content through our friends at Asatu, the Flat Bill Mafia. And so, it's an endearing kind of like hashtag we're starting for them. I think, leaders at our store, you can see their fingerprints on it, so from, this kind of staffing level indications that came right from a store leader that will be interviewing on this podcast. And then people like Andrew Gordon challenging us when it comes to, hey, don't have a sales deck. People hate that. Like, just tell them your origin story and the value that you bring. And don't forget that you come from Champ. So Champ is a very, we're very proud to work for that automotive group. And I think people look up to Champ because we're always kind of progressing and like kind of challenging the status quo and
innovating. So
A to Z Sync is born out of Champ. HIVE is kind of the next thing born out of Champ, and I think that's something to be very proud of, that we work for a company that's willing to kind of let us spread our wings and let us kind of better the automotive community the best way we know how. For sure.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty awesome. I think that kind of covers everything from past to present. What can we expect future looking?
Yeah. Well, we're excited to be introducing Marketplace. I mean, that's kind of the next iteration. We're very oriented in CRM data. That's super important to us. The operational factors to it are great. And then once we started unpacking what we can find from our Marketplace partners, there's so much good stuff in there that I think is very hard to go retrieve, especially people like us that are overseeing the success of multiple dealerships. Having that information in one central spot, that's kind of like a HIVE identity, is like bring it all into one thing so I can use it better, benchmark things, aggregate things easier. And so Marketplace, we're super excited. I call it the gateway drug to HIVE because it's super easy. You don't have to kind of be a data nerd. You can just hop right in there. It takes a couple clicks to really understand where you're at, orient yourself, make some good decisions really fast, and super excited about Marketplaces. Something I think that we can kind of challenge somewhat conventional thinking based on, pricing based on age, we have some ideas that's one factor, but it's not the leading factor. Leading factor is how the customer perceives your inventory and the factors that go into that and the indications in your data that tells you if it's resonating with them or not. So more of a better strategy in current times too for 2023 we're 2024. What year are we in? 2024. So it's very current now with inventory coming back and people worried about aging. I think it's very timely that we're bringing something to the table that can be very helpful.
Absolutely.
Well, and I think another thing that we're kind of excited about for the future is going through this exercise of speaking with other dealers and bringing other dealers onto HIVE Analytics, hearing some of the feedback of some of the pain points they have that they would potentially like to see visualized through dashboards, and or just discussing what some of the things that they feel are blind spots in their operation. We're looking at creating the Data Illuminati Society.
Yeah.
So I think that we should touch on that for a second.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to close this out, as we've talked about how important it is to have those relationships and have that feedback. So what's kind of the hope as we build the Illuminati or the Data Society?
Not all feedback should be at the same value, right? It's like you'll get feedback from certain people and you're like, yeah, but you don't really understand like how we went about this in the first place. So we're going to be a little bit selective on who we want in the Data Society. But we're looking for like-minded individuals who really appreciate data. They're objective. They're kind of advanced in their thinking. And like George said, when we've been working with some other groups, we've met some really bright people
for sure,
and some really cool perspectives that they're going to be reflected in our product.
Yep.
So we want to make that more of a disciplined approach. Have kind of expectations of being in the society or the Illuminati. And that way we can kind of proactively show people what we're working on, see if it has value for the community, and go forward like that, and have some fun too. And it's an easy way for us to make those connections a little bit more known, and kind of like set some guidelines on how we're going to talk to each other, have some times on the calendar, stuff like that. So we stay kind of attentive to it as well, and make sure that we're giving it the attention it deserves.
Absolutely. I think even just last week when we kind of went into a demo, there was like one thing that says, well, what about this? And we changed the pipeline, or not the pipeline, the dashboard.
Absolutely.
Pretty instantaneously, we're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, how do we miss that?
That should have been on there. Yeah, we updated Moneyball really recently just because of those types of insights and those conversations. And there will probably be some Illuminati swag too.
Yeah.
There has to be.
Yeah, we got mine.
More stickers.
Definitely logos, right?
Yeah, more stickers.
Yeah.
Stickers are my favorite.
Fake magazine cover for Data Illuminati Society too is probably in order.
Yeah, for sure.
I think so. Yeah, stylized shoot. All right. Well, George, thank you. James, thank you.
Yeah.
This is episode 0. We hope that this brings you a little bit closer to what we're doing here at HIVE Analytics, that you have the opportunity to check us out at hiveanalytics.io, as well as our LinkedIn page, and stay tuned for some more fun podcasts and, some updates and hopefully some white papers here pretty soon.
Yep, for sure.
All right. See you later.
Thanks.